So call to order.
Bonnie Billings,
Here.
Bradley Young is online. Shannon Martell. Here. Brandon Partain. Absent. Renata York. Absent. Jason Evans.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Awesome. All right, with that, we will start the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the general public comment. And I always encourage folks to, anytime you want to talk about anything you want, you can make public comment before the meeting or at the end of the meeting. The awkward part is we can't say anything because it's not on the agenda, but we do encourage you to speak. So we have 3 that would like to speak. And Julie, I didn't know if you wanted to speak before the meeting or at the end. Before. Okay, so I'll put you down for item number 3. Okay, so we'll start with Julie. And Julie, if you'll come up to the podium so we can see you on the camera and you state your name for public record.
Right, turn anything on? Is this
No,
working?
you're good. There's a speaker right up here in the camera.
My name is Julie Barger. What else did you do?
That's it. And then-
Oh, okay. My name is Julie Barger. I live off of La Posada. And I'm here to comment on Pyramid Highway. So of course, I think the road is a mess. I would envision Pyramid Highway being a limited access road. So streets like Winfield Hills, Stoneburg Parkway, Sunset Spring, Golden View, all of these roads be where you have an on-ramp and an off-ramp and traffic on Pyramid Way doesn't have to stop. That's what I would do if I were building the road. Since it's not like that, I encourage better timing of the lights. The lights should flow or the lights should be on and off green so Pyramid Way flows. Pyramid Way shouldn't be stopping just because somebody on Fard Avenue or Golden View or whoever pulls up. There should be, the people on Golden View should have to wait until the cycle goes through. If you know what I mean. I would hope that all these minor streets, or all streets, I guess, not even the minor ones, would have cameras to indicate when there are no cars. And yes, I've been on Pyramid Way very late at night, and you sit there while it cycles, somebody that's not there turning left and you have to wait. And yes, I've seen people at 2 a.m. go through the light and I'm like, good for you. I wish I had the nerve to do that. Highland Ranch Road, when you're coming down the hill and you're heading towards La Posada, I don't know why there's not 2 left turn lanes there. I mean, it was just redone. No clue why that was missed. There's no left turn lane into the library. And finally, remember several years ago when we had warning lights on Pyramid Way? I love those, and then you took them away. Nobody asked me my opinion. All of a sudden they were gone. And I thought, wow, what a great idea. So those are my comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julie. Okay, the second speaker is Jennifer Fitzpatrick.
Hi there. I'm Dr. Jennifer Fitzpatrick, a veterinarian and director of community medicine at Nevada Humane Society. Thank you for giving me a minute to talk about a community-based approach to pet overpopulation and how we can work together as a whole county to find solutions. In 2024, Nevada Humane Society received almost 10,000 animals that needed rehoming, medical intervention, and behavioral support. Many of those are kittens and puppies coming from unplanned litters or the community cat pet overpopulation. We performed over 2,000 spay and neuter surgeries for owned pets last year. And of those, only 69 were from Spanish Springs zip codes. That is less than 3%. So there's an opportunity in this community to help advance the care for the animals in our county. Studies performed by universities and national organizations have shown time and time again that spaying and neutering is the most cost-effective, most humane, and most effective approach to population management. And with that in mind, Nevada Humane Society did receive grant funding from Washoe County's Community Reinvestment Program to increase availability of spay and neuter across this whole county. We realize that there are many barriers, including availability of appointments, cost and transportation concerns, and we are looking to try and remove some of those barriers. We have increased the number of appointments. We had been performing around 2,000 spay and neuter appointments for pets and community-owned cats every year. We now have over 200 every week for dogs, cats, and community cats, 7-day-a-week availability. These are at reduced cost for members of the whole county with no income qualifications. And to address transportation limitations, we now have available a fully equipped surgery unit, a surgery van. And we are looking to partner with either municipal organizations or private companies, anybody who can help. It takes about 4 parking spots for us to accomplish a whole day of surgery. So we look forward to partnering with members of this community across the whole county so that we can reduce barriers and help solve this pet overpopulation issue as a community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and the next speaker is Bruce Parks.
I might pull it up a little bit more. Sorry. I just want people to see.
It's in the
Oh,
ceiling.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Hey, new technology, awesome. Madam Chair, for the record, Bruce Parks, I'm here to once again request that the Spanish Springs Cab have a presentation from county staff on the, CARES campus. Specifically, we would like to know why we've spent hundreds of millions of dollars and have achieved 0 successes. Success being taking an individual that's experiencing homelessness off the streets, getting them the help they need, turning them into a productive, contributing member of our community, not subsisting on the taxpayer dime any longer. That, Madam Chair, is success. Anything short of that is simply putting a Band-Aid on a sucking chest wound. You've not accomplished anything. So we would like to have an answer for that. We would also like to have an answer about why we are not applying our laws fairly across the community. There's such a thing as equal protection under the law. Well, you're supposed to enforce all laws equally. Our law enforcement officers are being hampered in their duties because they're being told to leave the homeless people alone. Don't bother them. No, ma'am. The laws either apply to all of us or they apply to none of us. You have to enforce them equally across the board. And lastly, but not least, we would like to know why the homeless court does not hold individuals accountable when they are cited on the rare occasion that our law enforcement officers do cite them. There is no consequences for their infractions. We would like to have answers for that. It's our taxpayer dollars that are being spent on this. We would like to see some success. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
I'm sure you do have one person online as well.
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you, Candy. And what's that person's name?
Janet Butcher, I'm going to ask her to unmute.
Okay, hi, Janet.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. First of all, Janet Butcher for the record. I want to thank you for restoring the 3-minute comment. 2 minutes just wasn't long enough. 3 minutes isn't long enough, but that's better than two. And for allowing people to speak at the beginning and also the end of the meeting. I'm not sure if I have the dates wrong, but maybe it can be addressed before the end of the meeting. But I think the open checkbook is on 7/22. I hope it wasn't 6/22, but I think it was it's going to be 7/22. And I couldn't find anything on the county's website pertaining to it. So I just happened to remember that it was going to be in the chamber. So I publish a calendar. So I wanted to make sure and get a link to that put on there. And everybody, since the SPCA veterinarian was there, I'd like to remind people to keep your pets safe. A lot of pets out in Spanish Springs get out all the time, and it breaks my heart. But I want everybody to have a safe and happy 4th. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, with that, if you, just encouraging anyone that wants to make public comment, you can still make public comment at the end of the meeting. That's all that I had for the beginning of the meeting. And you just have to fill out the form that's up here at the table. Okay, with that, we're going to approve the minutes for the June 4th.
I'll go ahead and make a motion after reviewing the minutes to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I will second that.
Jason Evans who made
Yeah.
the motion?
Yes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I know. And it seems silly with just three of us, huh? Okay, so now the next thing that we're gonna do is election of cab officers. Cab officers are, their role stays for 1 year and then it's time for re-election. So tonight we would like to elect a chair and vice chair for the upcoming year. And so do I have a nomination for the chair?
I would like to nominate Bonnie Billings for the chair.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
And I accept.
Was there any public comment on that topic since it's for action?
Oh, it is for possible action. So do we have any public comment on that? Yes.
Were there no other candidates?
Were there no other candidates? There's only 5 cab members. And so, no, there were no other candidates for this year. Okay, and now we want to, any other public comment on that? Okay, so now we're gonna go through to the vice chair nomination. I would like to nominate Brad Young to be vice chair.
I'll second that.
Okay. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so vice chair is Brad Young, and Brad Young is online. He is present. And he voted aye. Okay, any public comment on the vice chair? Okay, all right, so now what we're going to do is we're gonna go to the public safety updates, and we're gonna hear from the Truckee Meadows Fire Department and the Washoe County Sheriff's Office. And I'd like to call up Commissioner Andriola to introduce our new fire chief.
Where'd go, sir?
Hello, thanks for coming, everyone, tonight. So it's with great pride. I don't know if we want us to stand as their place.
Yeah, just because
We're
I'm not
standing-
able to adjust.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
To stand up. Know if our heads, we
know.
go like this. I don't know if there's a certain protocol here, but it's weird to see our heads cut off. And it's on video, so we'll do it this way. Let's be creative. Did you ever do this in your own?
All the time.
Okay. Spanish Springs. Everyone, I'd like to introduce you to the brand new, literally as of yesterday at about 10:30-ish. The new fire chief, this is Chief Edwards. I'll let him share, everything about him and more. We're excited. There was a very robust recruitment process that, really, it was a tough decision, to be honest with you. We had great candidates. And it was unanimous in selecting Chief Edwards. We're excited to see where he takes us in the community. He is very well aware, I just spoke with him today, that Spanish Springs has a lot of calls. And there's 2 districts that have a lot of calls. One is District 4 with Spanish Springs, and the other is District 3 with Commissioner Garcia. But anyway, we hopefully can make you feel why we all love this place as much as we love this place. So welcome. Can we give him a bit? So welcome.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Richard Edwards, and like Commissioner Andrews mentioned, the new fire chief of Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District. I'm super excited to be up here and to serve you as your new fire chief. I bring over 30 years of experience in the fire service. The last 25 years, I served the city of Stockton, and the last 5.5 years as their fire chief. So very well versed in a lot of the similar challenges and opportunities that we experience here in Washoe County. And I'm hoping to bring all that experience and together with my team, be able to solve some of those challenges for us to provide you with the very highest level of fire protection services. I have a very simple ethos as a fire chief, is to provide the highest level fire protection services to the community while taking the very best care of the men and women that provide you with those services. And that's really what's made me successful throughout my career. And that's what I hope to continue here in Washoe County. So I appreciate all the warm welcomes. I'm super excited to have my family, and I live here now in Washoe County. And I hope to see everyone around at different events and so forth. So feel free to stop by, say hi, and introduce yourself, and I'll do my part to introduce myself as I see everyone, and just appreciate everybody. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then since we're with the fire department, do you want to come up and give us the report?
Absolutely.
All right, good evening, everybody. Joe Shum, for the record, Division Chief, Truckee Meadows Fire and Rescue. I oversee the operations of our 10 stations and the one station out here in Spanish Springs on La Posada and Pyramid Highway that responds to you folks. We'll hit some statistics real quick for the month. Everything is on average and on par with what we're normally seeing. We are seeing an uptick year over year, but everything is hitting the average for the month of June. Out here, we have an interesting situation because we do share some areas with the city of Sparks. So we run calls on behalf of city of Sparks. They have certain areas where they run calls on behalf of Truckee Meadows because we're interlaced so tightly. We also have mutual aid and automatic aid. When we're not available, they help. When they're not available, we help. So these numbers reflect kind of all of that here. Inside the city of Sparks, we ran 43 calls last month. On the enhanced aid, which is where we respond first into the city of Sparks. We also ran 177 calls just in the general Spanish Springs area for a total 220 calls, which is just below the average of 223 calls per month. Out here, we did have 5 fires, 144 medical calls, 11 traffic accidents, 5 hazmats, and then 55 other calls. Those are those public assists, general good intent, or nothing found when we got there, false alarms. No real emergency, but we still count that as us going out the door. We did something for someone on that incident. Some things I want to bring up to note. Last month, we talked a lot about wildfire awareness and that wildland season was here. And wouldn't you know it, we had our fire on the 10th out here, the Marie fire. So it burned 114 acres. It was a mix between Truckee Meadows land or jurisdiction, Sparks, and BLM. All of those resources were there. We had 175 people fight the fire. When it was all said and done, we stopped it at that 114 acres. They stayed on scene for a week, extinguishing hot spots. A lot of pinyon juniper up there, heavy fuels. Just really wanted to make sure it was taken care of and put to bed, because our winds, as we all know, that we're going to experience tomorrow. I just got notice we're in red flags tomorrow. We wanted to make sure it was out so we didn't have to chase it down again some other time. So that was the Marie fire. Going along with that, yesterday we had the Barron fire down in the middle of town, 290 acres. So the theme here is they are getting bigger. They are getting harder because our fuels are drying out, and with the winds, we're chasing them down. So our caution to you is to be aware of what starts fires: open flames, sparks, embers, even hot parts falling off cars. We've had a few of those fires up and down Pyramid Highway. keeping them small right now, but it does happen, so please be aware with that. The other fire to note out here that I really want to give props to my crews is they had a garbage truck catch on fire in Pebble Creek. And when the garbage truck caught on fire, typically what we do with those is they dump all the garbage on the ground so that we can spread it out and put it out. We were in high red flag winds that day, so the crews decided to leave it in the truck. And they were there for 4.5 hours, working with waste management to open the truck methodically and extinguish it internally so that we didn't inadvertently have embers cast into the wildland and spread to the neighborhood. So props to my crews for being heads up and thinking through the standard. Last thing I'll close with is our safety message for the month is lightning safety. Even though June was Lightning Safety Month officially on the national stage, we don't normally see our lightning until July. And yesterday it was here. It'll be here today. It'll be here tomorrow. So lightning safety, if you can hear it, you're close enough to be struck by lightning. If you see lightning, count 30 seconds. If you don't hear it, it's far enough away. The other thing that we tell people is when you hear it, see it, seek shelter indoors, buildings, not under trees, buildings, large cars. I would not be under the gazebos at the park. Seek shelter and wait 30 minutes until the last clap of lightning. All of your ball players do it on the baseball fields, the football fields. When they hear and see lightning, they have to come off the field, wait 30 minutes from that last clap of lightning before it's safe to go back outside. And then the last interesting thing about lightning that a lot of people don't think about is don't take showers or wash your dishes when there's a lightning storm. It will and can travel through the water system. So you don't want to be on the end of that water system when your house or the neighbor's house gets hit and it will transmit through the water. So it's kind of one of those, when there's a lightning storm, enjoy a cup of tea, sit back, relax, watch the clouds, but get indoors and kind of relax. So that's our tips for lightning. End of report.
I just have one question. You know, on that garbage truck that caught on fire, did we ever find out why? Was it some battery that a neighbor put in a trash can or?
Oftentimes those are really hard to tell. It's full of stuff. But on that note, with battery fires, lithium ion battery fires are on the rise across the country. Either improper use of chargers or improper disposal of the batteries. They need to be recycled properly because when they get crushed in the dumpsters or out at the landfill, or even if they just get crushed in your house, they can ignite and they burn very hot, very intense. It's a metal fire, really hard to extinguish, takes lots of water. Even the smallest ones don't go out easy. I don't know what caused that, but yes, battery fires can definitely do that. Use the right charger and recycle. That would be the two things.
Okay.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Can the batteries be put into your recyclables?
Unfortunately not.
And what do you do with them?
So there's recycling opportunities at different battery stores like Battery Plus. They'll take those to recycle them. I know Waste Management also has a program where they will take them on specific sites and days to recycle. A lot of the electronic stores will also take them to recycle them just so that they get done properly. Cool thing is in Northern Nevada, out there in Story County, there's 2 battery recycling plants for lithium ion right here. So you know that it's going to get taken care of properly. But yeah, they don't go in the trash. They don't go in the recycle bin. We want to make sure that it gets in the right hands so that they dismantle them and do things properly.
Does that include your transistor radio batteries, your flashlight batteries, et cetera?
They highly recommend even alkaline batteries should go to the recycling so they can properly be broken down and the materials can get reused. Yes, Commissioner.
I'm wondering if you would be so kind just to share that 4th of July is around the corner, literally, and if we could just talk
Yes.
about some of the.
Yeah, so I will say that. Yeah, this meeting kind of sneaks up on us. Yeah, 4th of July obviously is Friday. Fireworks are illegal in Washoe County. So anything that you can't get here that just kind of pops or sparkles, they're illegal. Again, you want to really be careful with those things. Do see hazards. I would also mention that it's going to be hot, so stay hydrated. When it comes to enforcement, you will see fireworks in the sky from the neighbors that have decided to go elsewhere and bring their fireworks here. You can report those, but the fire department does not respond to those unless there is an emergency or a fire caused, so forth. Fortunately, our law enforcement partners will probably touch on how their enforcement works with illegal fireworks. I'll say from our perspective, in my 30 years in the fire service, it's really hard to find them, who shoots them off, because they go bang. And when people know there's enforcement coming down the street, they kind of disappear. So, yes, please be safe on the 4th of July.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And now we have the Washoe County Sheriff's Office here to report to us.
Hello, everybody. Sergeant Whitmore with Washoe County Sheriff's Office. I missed last month, so I apologize for that, but I'm back this month. I'm going to touch briefly on a few numbers, not too many, because I'm still operating off the first quarter. All right, the first quarter that we published during last meeting is what I have now. We haven't compiled the new numbers. The ones of importance to me specifically this weekend are one of our, the driving under the influence, right? So for quarter one, for Spanish Springs alone, there were 8 arrests for driving under the influence. That means our deputies were out here being proactive, found the drunk drivers, and arrested them for prosecution out of Spanish Springs. That is up from the 3-year average, which was 5. One of the sheriff's pillars and one of his goal crimes for this year is driving under the influence charges, right? There are some other ones like weapons infractions and stuff like that, reducing aggravated assaults, but specifically for DUIs coming into this weekend, I know that we're going to be having an influx of family. We're going to have celebrations. We're going to have fireworks. We're going to have drinking. Any combination of those things generally end up poorly for the rest of us. I want to talk about how that ties into last week's numbers for DUIs. Now, not just for Spanish Springs alone, but in one night, the deputies of the Washoe County Sheriff's Office made 5 DUI arrests in one evening. So that's just one shift, a 12-hour shift with 6 deputies on shift. So they made 5 arrests for the county. Some of them were from Spanish Springs, some of them were some Valley, down south, but 5 in one night, which is a great number for us. It sounds bad because we're like, hey, we caught all these people drunk driving. But statistically, through NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Authority, those numbers are just scratching the surface because there's a lot that we miss. We can't be everywhere. We can't see what everybody else sees. We're limited in our ability to patrol the jurisdiction and respond to calls for service. Tying that into this weekend with fireworks and alcohol. Domestic violence goes up anytime you have a celebration of any time. So we're going to be responding to calls for service like that. We still have the 1050s, the accidents, the traffic problems, the medical calls that fortunately we get to work with our fire partners, go to and respond together. Those things happen no matter what holiday it is. So when it comes to enforcement of the fireworks, generally we get the phone call, we get the dispatch message from dispatch. Much like with the motorcycles and dirt bikes, the noise complaints, I'm asking you that before you make that call, I'm going to need you to find out where it was coming from. If you can identify, it was her that fired them. I saw her do it and it's coming from this address and it was at this time and I took photos with my phone. We all walk around with a miniature computer somewhere on our body that takes photos. So that's evidence that allows me to say without a too intensive of an investigation that there's probably a crime that was committed and that person probably committed it. We can issue that citation on your behalf to go to court and hold them accountable. Chasing fireworks throughout the night is a very, very difficult thing to do. Some of them sound like gunshots. Some of them sound like somebody getting hit in a vehicle accident, a collision, stuff like that. They have the mortar ones that sound like an explosion going off. There's a myriad of ways that we try to find them, but as our partners in the fire department said, it is very difficult. We're in cars and we're responding after the fact. I will tell you one specific instance. Last 4th of July, there was a mortar call in there. Hey, there's firing a mortar in the middle of the street. And then they got in their cars and left. So they drove to somewhere else where they didn't live, set the mortar off, and then got out of Dodge because they knew somebody was going to call us. By the time I got there, it was still smoking. And everyone said, I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything. There's an explosion in front of your house. Hey, I don't want a part of it. Which is another thing that I always tell you guys, please, please, please. If you're not comfortable making the report and you don't want to go to court, I can't force you. But part of us holding people accountability for those crimes not committed in our presence, those misdemeanor crimes, we need your assistance. We need you to take a little bit of a risk and say, I'm willing to cite this person because I saw it happen. It's hard, it's scary, it may cause contention between you and a neighbor, and I understand that. There's protections for you in that regard as well. If it becomes an issue, you call us, we go the harassment route, we can give you TPO information, make that interactions between you and this hostile neighbor that got held accountable for a crime from taking it out on you. Right? Don't be afraid to call us. You can call anonymously, but I'm going to be honest with you. If you call anonymously and say there's fireworks in the sky, I'm going to be like, yes, it's the 4th of July. And I'm not going, right? Because I do have a responsibility to respond to that vehicle accident. I do have the responsibility to have my deputies try to find that drunk driver or to find the kid that is in a mental health crisis and just ran off into the hills. We're going to respond to that, and that priority for that firework, unless it's causing danger to a structure and these guys are going to get pulled out of the firehouse to come deal with it, I'm going to put it lower on the priority. Not because your crime and what you're seeing and what you care about is not important, but because I do have to prioritize life, safety, limb, structures and stuff like that over a noise disturbance of fireworks. Okay. With the firework danger, the fire department, we see them out there busting their chops with all of these fires. We try to help evacuate and do things like that. If this weekend something does happen, you will have sheriffs, you will have Sparks, you will have whoever is in the area coming and trying to get you to evacuate if need be. It is a high fire danger. They just spoke to it. What I need you to do is understand that we can't force people out of their homes, but once we get you out, we're not going to let you back in. Okay. So if you want to grab Fluffy or Spot, take them with you the first time. Don't go back in for them, because I'm not going to risk you for an animal. All right. You are more important to me, even though they're part of your family. You love them. I'm going to stop you from putting yourself into danger after we get you out of it. Right. That's if you voluntarily evacuate and we don't yank you out of your house. Okay. So please just cooperate with all of those efforts. Let us help you. 9 out of 10 times, your structure is going to be fine. These guys do a phenomenal job. We just responded to a structure fire up north, and they had it out after the fire started in a bedroom with oxygen canisters in the room. And between all the firefighters that got there, they had it out in like 3 minutes. It was super fast once they got on scene. And the trick was it was late at night, so they got to drive a little bit faster and didn't have to go around traffic. We're doing it. We're fighting for you. We're trying to make sure that you are safe and you enjoy your weekend and you enjoy your lives and your property and enjoy Spanish Springs for what it is. Okay. I'm going to leave it at that with one last number, that the self-initiated numbers are deputies going out there and saying, I see something, I'm going to do something. I'm going to stop the license plate that is missing. I'm going to stop those taillights that aren't on. I'm going to stop that guy that can't stay in their lane. For Q1, it was 840. 840 for Spanish Springs alone. The 3-year average was 434. So we have low personnel. We are fighting the same budgetary concerns the rest of the county is, the rest of the city, the state, the country. We have the same low checking account. And with the few deputies that we do have, I promise you they're out there doing what they can for you. Sometimes we can't get there fast enough and we miss it. For that, I can only apologize and say that I'm trying to do better. Our deputies are staying out to the end of their shift. They're coming back and trying to cram 11 hours of work into 5 reports in an hour because they're not getting overtime. So we got to send them home. So they're working hard for you, and these numbers are testament to that. I ask you, please just trust us that we are trying to do our best. We are trying to hold people accountable. And as we come out of budgetary deficits in the future, we'll be able to hire more deputies and do more for you. With that, do I have any questions? Yes, sir.
motorcycles? What can we do what can we do to help you?
So with motorcycles, again, it's very much like a noise complaint. You have to be able to try to identify them. If you see the motorcycle or the dirt bike go to a specific house and you're like, I watched it come from that house, and you return to that house. And then when they took their helmet off, it was a kid about yay tall, brown hair, red shirt. I could identify him by pointing him out. His mom works at CVS. Right? We'll come, issue that citation on your behalf if you can say, hey, look, I just caught this kid doing it. I videotaped him, I caught a picture of him, I caught a picture of him darting through the crosswalk in the middle of the road. You didn't know, like bicycles and stuff like that, you're not allowed to ride them in a crosswalk. You're supposed to get off, walk it through the crosswalk, and then get back on. Because going from a sidewalk into a crosswalk quickly as cars are moving, reaction times, speed, stop ratios, and everything like that, it's a recipe for disaster. That's how people get hit. That's why that law is there. So if you can say, I saw this, now here's the proof, we can issue that citation better on your behalf. Again, it's a misdemeanor not committed in our presence. We're issuing the citation on your behalf, saying, I want to hold this person accountable as a member of the community. I'm willing to sign the citation and go to court over it. Where we lose a lot of gas in our ability to enforce those laws is when people say, I'm not willing to cite. Our dispatchers do a really good job of asking, are you willing to sign a citation and go to court over this? Some of our dispatchers are a little newer. Maybe they're not asking it in a way that conveys what we need from you. And they're working on that. They're still in training. They're short-staffed as well. But that's the crux of it all. We have to have a willing community to say, this is wrong and I saw it. So, were you same question? Okay. Yes, sir.
We know that lane splitting on motorcycles is illegal.
Yes, sir.
in Nevada. What about the motorcyclists who are back in stopped cars at a light and work their way to the front? Is that still the same as lane splitting?
Yes, sir, it is. The danger we encounter with lane splitting here is with the bleed over from California where it is legal to do, and the actual enforcement of it, we have to weigh the benefit of trying to initiate a traffic stop on that motorcycle. Unfortunately, statistically with the motorcycles on the roadways, more often than not, they run from us, and I'm going to cancel a pursuit as a supervisor from my deputies chasing them. Main reason, safety to the public. When they get on that gas and they crank it back and they're going 120 miles an hour, now I have a Chevy Tahoe with 900 extra pounds on top of its 6,000 pounds that it started with, chasing them at 70 to 80 miles an hour. It's not worth it. I'm not going to put you guys at risk. I'm not going to let my deputies put you at risk by chasing them. They're more maneuverable. They have higher acceleration rates, and they're going to leave us in the dirt. We just can't compete with it. So if we're fortunate enough to where they pull over, we'll take that enforcement action. That's if they stop. Again, myself right here, just coming past Wingfield Hills one night, I turned on my lights. He gave me the bird and zipped off, and I turned my lights off and called out a failure to yield to Sparks PD and NHP. So maybe if they see him land somewhere, they can stop it. But I did not chase him. So you're 100% correct. It's not right. It is a very hard to enforce law. So the occasions where they do stop, they are getting tickets. They are getting their written summons and everything like that, though. Does that answer your question, sir?
Sergeant Whitmore, thank you very much for being here.
Absolutely.
We've always really appreciate your attendance. So thank you. And if there's any more questions for Sergeant Whitmore, I'm going to ask you to maybe, can you answer questions in the back of the room?
I can.
Yeah, so he'll stay for a few minutes if you want to go back and ask him some more questions. But with that, I want to honor our guest speakers, NDOT, and ask you to come forward. So we have, and thank you very much, Sergeant Whitmore. We have Nanette Maxwell, Senior Project Manager from NDOT here.
Good afternoon, everybody. Madam Chair, committee members in the community, and Commissioner Andrews.
Can't hear you. You're gonna have
Oh,
to
sorry.
speak up. Or just
All right, so I'll have to. All right, so before, again, my name is Nanette Maxwell from the Nevada Department of Transportation, and I'm going to do a short presentation for the Pyramid Highway Phase 1 project. I'm waiting for the presentation. All right. So before we dive into the project details and updates for the phase one, I just wanted to take a moment to sincerely thank the community for especially the residents, the businesses, and the commuters of the Spanish Springs area. Your patience, your feedback, and your support really helped us complete the project, and it's been truly appreciated, not just by the project team, but also by NDOT. We understand that roadway construction can be disruptive, and we really appreciate your understanding during the lane closures, nighttime work, and also the detours, which, help us to progress until we complete the project. So today we're gonna talk about the updates of the construction. I'm also going to touch a little bit of what's still ahead. And for that, can we go to the next slide, right? So, oops. All right. As we all know, phase one project starts from Queenway to Golden View Drive, and the construction of this project will substantially complete by this month. In fact, we're going to have a ribbon cutting by July 11. Next slide, please. So as you can see, this slide is also printed on one of the boards, our display boards right there. And if you want to take a look at it after the presentation, please do. You're welcome to do so. I just wanted to talk about the first picture on the left. For the phase one project, we have a scenario that highlights the urgent need for the improvements to meet the future demand, especially, within this project limits. As we know, the Spanish Springs area is experiencing a significant growth with from 2015 to 2035, the population is projected to increase by 43%. And with the current roadway network that we have with this population, it's really not designed to handle the volume of the traffic that is expected for the 2035 year. So without the improvements, the commuters and you guys as residents here in Spanish Springs area will face severe congestions, longer travel times, and especially safety concerns. So during phase one, what we did is the construction included the widening of the Pyramid Highway from Queenway to Los Altos Parkway. And we've also had a roadway reconstruction from Los Altos Parkway to Golden View Drive. And this expansion is supposed to increase the roadway capacity, also to help alleviate the congestions and to support the projected traffic volumes in the area. And another major improvement that we did for this phase is a new 10-foot shared use path, and also the sidewalk that we added on the west portion of the project from Los Altos to Golden View Drive. And this features supposed to promote safe travel for pedestrians and also for the cyclists and other non-motorized users. Another important features or scope that we've added to the project is the drainage improvements, which is supposed to, help reduce flooding and also to maintain the roadway integrity. We've also added aesthetic enhancements and which were incorporated to improve the corridor's appearance and better integrate it with the community. So for the after, what we are expecting, after the phase one project is completed, we're expecting it to improve safety within the area. The project is expected to eliminate approximately 10 crashes per year. And this significant safety improvement should help protect drivers, pedestrians, and cyclists, which will eventually reduce injuries, property damages, and emergency response needs. Another benefits that we would get for the phase one is the environmental benefits. By reducing the traffic congestions and vehicle idling, the project will eliminate 10,800 carbon emissions annually. And the addition of walk and bike infrastructures will also promote sustainable transportation choices, supporting regional quality and climate changes. I mean, air quality and climate changes. So these results for this project reflects a long-term investment in a safer and more efficient environmental responsible transportation corridor for the Spanish Springs area, and not just in this area, but also in, you know, a wider community. Next slide, please. Other improvements that we've added in the project, I think you might have, you know, already been seeing this as you drive along the corridor, are the new curb and gutter that have been installed to support the proper drainage and improve the roadway durability. We've also added stamped concrete medians throughout the corridor. Also added new walls north of Los Altos Parkway, and this is to reduce traffic noise and also to provide added privacy to the adjacent neighborhoods within the community. We've also added upgraded traffic signals and improved, this is to improve traffic efficiency and safety at key intersections. We've also added new energy LED lightings within the project to improve visibility. Also, not the least, we've added also new signage and roadway striping for clearer guidance and improved travel lane visibility. Next slide, please. So for the decorative panels added to the walls, I don't know if you've been here early last year, we presented a little bit more information about the walls, and hopefully, you know, when we get your input, that was really, really important to us. And hopefully right now you're more happy with the outcome. So the decorative image panels featuring the fish and pelicans over the waves were added at the breaks in the wall, creating a cohesive and continuous design along the corridor, or at least within the project limits. And we've also used some thoughtful color with the wave patterns that were painted, you know, the same color as the walls to blend seamlessly into the background, allowing the fish and the pelicans to visually pop and serve as the focal point when you see the walls. The aquatic theme subtly reflects regional wildlife and the natural environment, contributing to a sense of place and the community identity in the Spanish Springs area. Next slide, please. So before we get to the Q&A, I just wanted to briefly talk about the frequently asked questions. You might probably have already this in your head, so might as well discuss some of our responses to some of the questions that we've previously received and we have been constantly receiving from the community. So can we go to the next slide, please? So one question is that why hasn't anyone been working during daytime? So we have multiple responses to that. So first response is, majority of the remaining tasks, especially for this year, such as the paving, the striping, and the final surface treatments, they were temperature sensitive. That requires specific, weather conditions for us to complete those tasks to ensure proper installation and also for long-term performance. So that is one of the reasons why, mostly you just see the cones or the cones and the signs, traffic signs on the highway without somebody working and you're wondering what's going on, is it done or not? Another response to is that to minimize the impact on the daytime traffic, all the other necessary lane closures were scheduled at night, and then this approach really helped reduce the congestion. So that's why sometimes you see them constantly during daytime, even though no one is really working, but sometimes you'll probably hear it during nighttime. Like for example, the paving, we have to do it at night just so we don't really disrupt the traffic movement. Another thing that I just wanted to mention is that the construction team have really worked efficiently to complete the final phase. I'm not talking about the phasing of the entire, but this construction phase of the project with as little disruption to the community as possible, prioritizing your safety and also your convenience. Next slide, please. Another question that we have been receiving is that why wasn't an additional lane added north of Los Altos? I know maybe somebody here might actually have that same question, but let me provide you a response. We have at least 3 responses to that. First thing is the right-of-way limitations. So widening north of Los Altos will technically require us to purchase at least dozens of homes and commercial properties that will result into the higher cost of the project and also longer schedule or timeline, and it will also increase the community disruption. So the phase 1, this project that is almost complete, we had a grant on that too. So we also have a timeline that we have to, to make or to complete the project at a certain time, even starting from the design until the construction. So that is one of the top answer that we could provide you, and also the cost of the project. So we were only given a certain amount from the grant, and we really have to make the best of it. Another thing is, as I just mentioned, the project had to meet federal funding criteria, which included adding the sidewalks and multi-use path, and also the sound walls to improve safety, accessibility, and multimodal options, which are one of the first requirements that we have to comply to get the grant money. And this one probably you might not, I don't know if you've heard this before from our public meetings, or this might be new information to you, but so phase 1, as we call it, is the first phase of the Pyramid Highway Connector project, and it's actually just one of the 6 phases. So the future phase will include a connector from Pyramid to US 395, and that connector is actually designed to pick up traffic north of Los Altos Parkway. So that is the reason why we don't see the need right now to add that additional lane, because when this future phase comes in, that additional lane is actually not needed because it will pick up most of the traffic just north of Los Altos. So this planned connection is expected to significantly reduce traffic volumes on the segment, which is why this additional lane was not needed on this phase. And hopefully that answer, that particular question. Can we go to the next slide, please? So now talking about the future phases. Next slide, please. All right, so while NDOT is actively involved during the phase 1 project, it's because we did have a cooperative agreement with the RTC that NDOT will design and manage the construction of the phase 1 of the project. But technically, the US 395 and Pyramid Highway Connection Project as a whole is not really being spearheaded by, we are not the lead agency on that, but it is the RTC. So if you have any questions or information that you needed to know about the future phases, all of this information are in the RTC website. And if you need, the link for that or what the website is, we'd be happy to provide it to you. And, so RTC started from the corridor management plan for the corridor, and they also lead the environmental impact statement, which went through the NEPA process or the National Environmental Policy Act. And since Pyramid Highway is owned by NDOT and it's also maintained by NDOT, and that's why NDOT is also pretty heavily involved and support the RTC for the connection project. So again, for the future phases, like for phase 3 and 5, I can touch a little bit about this, but hopefully if you have any questions, I could forward that to RTC if you have questions particularly on this. So as far as I know, RTC right now is working on the design, but it's very, at the preliminary portion of the design for phase 3 and 5. The phase 3 is basically the connector that starts just north of Los Altos Parkway, and it's going through the ridge line. And if you want to see that in the map, I would gladly show that to you. So hopefully, can you guys see the map? Should I move it a little bit? All right. All right, so phase 1 is the purple line, and this is the one that we just completed. I mean, it will be completed this month. The phase 3 is technically this green, which is supposed to be the connector just north of Golden View Drive, and it's supposed to connect all the way to 395. RTC is working on this in the preliminary design, but with regards to schedule, I don't have any information of that right now. They're pretty early on the design. In fact, they're actually doing a reevaluation in this one on how they could break this into little packages due to the cost of the connector. Right now, if you see here, phase 3, it's about between $375 to $460 million. In fact, this was like a few years ago. As of today, it's probably about $500 million or over. So they're actively working on it. Phase 5 is the construction of Sparks Boulevard, Highland Ranch, and Pyramid Highway interchange. So that's just a little south here. So both of these phases are being worked on by RTC. And if you have any questions about that, I'll be happy to forward the questions to the RTC. Unfortunately, we don't have somebody here from RTC to represent that.
At the end of your presentation, we'll ask for questions.
Right. Next slide, please. I think I've already touched a little bit on this. Before I get into the next slide, which is technically, not a part of this project, I just wanted to sincerely thank you again, Spanish Springs community, on behalf of NDOT, for your community input and for your collaboration throughout the process in completing this phase 1 project. Your feedback has really helped us, especially, to shape the features of phase 1 from the decorative walls. Your input really helped us, to reflect that unique character of the area. And from the walls to the multi-use path that enhances the safety of the community and the accessibility of the roadway users. Those are really appreciated. This project is really a true reflection of our shared commitment in creating a safer and more connected, more vibrant corridor. So thank you so much. And so that's for Pyramid project. And this is a completely different project. I just wanted to give you a little bit information of this. I was just requested to do this, but full disclosure, this is not my project. I honestly don't know anything about this project. So I did talk to the project manager, and if you have any questions, he actually provided me his business cards, and I would be happy to give it to you, and you can contact him through phone or email. But just for the sake of it, I'm just gonna go through it, and I'll provide you a little bit of information on what's going on the I-80 East proposed future project. So bear with me. So for project overview, I-80 East widening project proposes to expand the I-80 from Vista Boulevard in Sparks to USA Parkway. The preferred alternative includes adding a third travel lane in each direction to address congestion and improve safety for the estimated 50,000 vehicles that travel the corridor daily. The 50,000 is really, I think it's very familiar number. It's the same numbers of travelers that uses the Pyramid Highway. So key features on the project, we're doing widening on I-80 to 3 lanes in each direction. The highway will be widened from the inside shoulders to 10 feet and then 12 feet to the outside shoulders. There will be replacement of certain bridges. There will be interchange improvements and also construction of median barrier rail. There will be upgraded guardrails, 2 concrete barrier rail, and there'll also be an added runway driver detection system. So a virtual public meeting is actually currently underway. And if you wanted to visit the website to find out what's the project is all about and all its features and more details, you could visit the i80eastnv.com. And the online public meeting is still ongoing, and it's all the way through July 18. The environmental assessment for the project has already been reviewed by NDOT, by FHWA, and also by participating and cooperating local agencies. The project public release for the environmental assessment is still pending for final approval. So for the next phase, next steps of this project, there will be a final design that will follow. The construction of the project is supposed to start in 2027, but that is pending funding and also approval. And again, for public participation, you are very much welcome to visit the website, i80eastnv.com, for if you want to review the project materials, ask questions, if you want to submit any comments or anything. That's all I have. Thank you.
With that, I'm going to ask, we have a little process for questions, and this process is to make sure that when you raise your hand to ask a question, you are acknowledged right away you're given a card, and then I call out those cards. So could I get a board member to help me pass out the cards? And when you have your hand up, she gives you a card, and then and this is for questions, not comments, but just questions. The comments are reserved for the end of the meeting. Anyway, she's passing out those cards. I'll ask number 1, if you could state your name for the record and ask your question.
Want to start now?
Yeah, start now. Yeah.
Kelly Wheeler. So the 10-foot walkway, you have a small barrier and then the large sound wall, correct? Okay. Going south towards Walmart, it switches. There's an open sidewalk there. Can you expand on that? Because it seems like the wall should have continued and blocked the sidewalk, but Cause if it's not to block the sidewalk, why do we still have that wall? Do you know what I'm talking about? Am I explaining it correctly?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
so
we anticipated that people.
we have a
would use
design.
More of the actual multi-use trail than the sidewalk, and I think the sidewalk was kind of a last minute request from the church. And so we didn't really incorporate the stone wall or the barrier on that end, but we anticipate people to use that.
Okay, I mean, it seems something like, I
Yeah,
know there's a reason for it, but
And
if
then
you look
that
at it from my
cost-
view, you're like,
yeah.
what the heck happened?
I think that was a last minute thing that added the cost to the project that it unfortunately didn't make it to the project.
So that sidewalk wasn't supposed to be the reason.
It wasn't supposed to be the
It
original, but
wasn't
then we
originally
were.
in the design, and it was just, we just incorporated because it was requested, and, we've added it because we know some people wanted to go to Walmart, instead of them just crossing the street using the multi-use path, it's easier for them to just use the sidewalk, so.
Okay, thank you. Question number 2.
Yes, thank you. I'm Don Gustafson. The questions I have are, do you have any approximate starting dates on these other phases of phase 2, 3, or 4, or 5 and 6?
Approximate.
Starting.
Oh, starting
construction
dates.
date.
Actually, that question is more for RTC because they are the lead agency for the entire pyramid connection project. I unfortunately don't have that information. And in fact, so all these phases are already in the regional transportation plan, and they are available in the RTC website. They might have some estimated date when they want that to be completed, but those are pending. It depends on the funding. So basically, it's really the funds that's driving us to even start. And technically, those phases, they might not even go as exactly enumerated phases. It might be, maybe phase 5 will come in first, depending on the funds.
Thank you.
Okay, question number 3.
Perfect timing. Joni Hammond. Back to the funding. I noted that you said that the phase 3 pyramid and the I-80 isn't funded that you're aware of. However, there must be some funding because they're being designed. So is there only funding for the design phase and not for the construction?
As
Those projects?
for phase 3 and 5 in particular.
Well, phase 3 of pyramid and I-80 East.
Okay, so the phase 3 and 5 for pyramid, let me talk about that first. The funding for that is actually not available yet, although RTC is currently working on it. Technically, the work that they're doing is not, yes, it's a part of design, but it's more of a feasibility because they are working on trying to reevaluate the NEPA on how they can divide, especially phase 3 into different stages because of the fact that it is a huge amount. It's almost, $500 million. So they're trying to figure out how they could face that. That's as far as I know, but if you need more information about that, I'll be happy to contact RTC or, forward your question. With regards to the I-80 project, the project has actually a grant. It has a $275 million infra grant. That's as far as I know. But other funding on that project, I honestly don't know because I'm not the project manager of the project. And I'll be happy to provide you Chris Kuhn's business card for you to contact him directly.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, question number 4.
Julie Barger. Do you have any more plans to put any more lights on Pyramid Way anywhere? And if you do, what's the criteria that is allowing you to add more lights?
All right, thank you for that question. If you'll be patient enough, actually, we have a presenter, Sam Ayamati will be talking about lights and signals. It will probably be covered in his presentation. Thank you.
Okay, question number 5.
My question is in between.
Just state your name.
Ravi Young. In between 2 projects, like for example, you have the one currently doing, and then the next one will be probably the one in Sparks. it's okay, but the only problem I have is the in-between projects, in between roads is 2 roads and then three roads. Yeah, you remove the traffic in between those things, but in between them, the traffic is still the same. So are you doing like Los Altos, once you're done, you're going back to the one in Sparks, expanding those? Are the road in between are also expanded or no?
That's a,
Because the problem is, hey, yeah, there's no traffic here. Then when it comes here, here's traffic. And then another one, there's none. I'm just wondering, why don't they reconnect everything?
are you talking about completely separate projects within Sparks area? For example, if we did the phase 1, we're talking about the next phases.
Yes. The in-between road is not being done. So the traffic is still there. You remove the traffic here, you place it in this spot. So the traffic is still there.
Understood, but once all the phases are complete, that's when,
The one in between, you're gonna finish or no? You get what I mean? You do this part way and then skip this one and then complete this one. So what will happen in between the 2 projects?
I'm trying to understand your question. If you're talking about specifically for
Like-
pyramid connection project
Yes.
in between the phases,
Yes.
is that what you're
Yes.
asking?
Best example is Los Altos. You stop there, right?
Yeah.
The next phase probably will be the Sparks.
Well, we don't know that.
Well, probably. What
Yeah.
phase is that?
Phase.
3?
We're talking about this part here? Because this is phase 1, the purple.
Uh-huh.
What's right above it? What's the
Uh,
next phase above it?
Phase 2 is supposed to be the disk drive, and then phase, this one above?
Yeah.
This is a part of phase 3.
And your comment is there's only 2 lanes there, right?
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
bottleneck,
it's
and it's only gonna get worse.
You're expecting a 43% increase in traffic.
Okay, we'll just keep it to one question at a
Sorry.
time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so technically your question is actually more for RTC project. It's more for the bigger picture. Even though we are helping RTC, we did help them manage and design for phase 1, but the entire Pyramid Highway and US 395 connection project, we're not the lead. We're just here to support them and help them. So the only reason why I'm here is because, we manage phase 1. So I could definitely answer your questions specific to phase 1, but how these phases were decided and what will be the future decisions, whether or not they will do phase 3 first, they will do phase 5 first, that we don't know that. It's not us who will be deciding that. So I'll be happy to provide that question to RTC.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mr. Young,
And I don't
we
want
have
to-
RTC coming November 5th to keep us updated on their part of this project too. So that's coming up.
Yeah, so even though we're helping RTC, we really don't want to take, credit for the whole project because we did not start this. This is not our project. We're just helping them. And so a lot of this, in fact, I mean, as we all know, even NEPA, it started in 2008. And it's been 10 years in the making to decide the alternatives and where the phases are going to be. And, all those decisions are on the RTC's documents, and, I could help provide you the website too.
Question number 6.
My name is Paul, and even if it's not necessarily finalized, you briefly touched upon that Sparks Pyramid interchange. As you understand it, what is it gonna look like? I mean, we've heard of flyovers and, how they're gonna route traffic around that intersection. How is that playing out?
So I just wanted to provide you with just a little bit of information because it's very, very preliminary. And I also still wanted to reiterate the design is being done by RTC. The only reason why I know a little bit about it because NDOT maintains the highway and they still, include us as part of the project partner. However, all these decisions are not really on us. The phase 5 in itself, as this is just as far as where the design is right now. This might still change because it's very preliminary. The only reason why they're pushing the design to 60% is because we're losing the right of way because of the community housing that's already being planned within the area. The design for the intersection is going to be a spooey interchange, but it's going to be a tight, it might be a spooey or tight diamond interchange. I know it's an interchange, so there will be a bridge in there crossing the Highland and Highland and Sparks Boulevard.
Oh, limited access?
It's gonna be a
Where you have on and off?
It will be, there
On
will
and
be
off.
ramps, but that will still be subject to change. It's still preliminary, so yeah.
Okay. Question number,
Like I said, you're very much welcome to provide me those questions and I can give you their contact information too from the RTC.
question number 7.
Yes, my name is Greg Stolfbach, and I have a question regarding something you've done that I don't understand. You created a very nice stormwater detention basin going up the hill on Pyramid. And going up the hill, going north, you created a left-hand U-turn lane, which is great because there are side streets that come in there. Okay. But coming down the hill, you created a right turn to nowhere and a left and an entry from nowhere back onto Pyramid. What's going on there?
So that right onto that empty lot is for access to the BLM property so that people can still go off-roading and enjoy kind of their ATV activities. So that was like a partnership with
That's a
BLM.
very steep road, dirt road, and you're promoting that use?
That's kind of the partnership that we decided to do with BLM.
That costs a lot of money.
Access to public lands. Yeah, we don't want to restrict the public lands. And we want to have people access where they had access before. So kind of why we put that in there.
And something to I just wanted to add with Aaron, and thank you for that. Because of the widening, that portion was actually a BLM
Parcel, yeah.
parcel. And so was it requested during the design? They wanted it.
I'm not sure about that. I don't think over there. We might have requested that access.
Yeah.
But
It
we
sounded
just
like
want
it
to
was.
provide, the access to public land that people already enjoy.
And it's very
Yeah.
dangerous what you did.
Okay, we're gonna go to question number 8.
For the record, Mark Chappelle, I live off of Golden View. So is disc NDOT right away or is that City Sparks? For phase 4,
It is not NDOT right away.
it's
I would say that's.
so RTC will take care of that, okay. And then the other phase 4, it looks like it was over on Dandini and Park Boulevard. Is that part of the same connector thing that they're doing the bridge work on 395? That part in Dandini that's eventually gonna connect to disc? I think that is part, of what's shown on the map,
Yes,
but I didn't know if NDOT.
yeah,
had it.
Parang Dandini is a part of the connection project.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
That was it, that was my question.
Question number 9.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Bruce Parks for the record. I've got a general question. Can you explain to me why 80% of NDOT budget is over 80% is spent exclusively in Clark County, leaving less than 20% for the rest of the state, for all the other 16 counties in Nevada? I've been asking this question for a long time and have yet to get an answer. Can you explain it?
Yes, thank you for that question. My name is Meg Wagner, I'm Public Information Officer. For that information, we have a full fact book online with all of the funding that goes to different areas of the state. Anyone is welcome to log on to dot.nv.gov. search the annual report and you will see those breakdowns yourself.
And that's where I got the information to ask the question. It seems disproportionate that we're spending that much money. I mean, if it was proportional, we'd spend 2/3 in Clark County and 1/3 in the rest of the state. That's not what we're seeing. We, the rest of the state, get less than a quarter of the money.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Okay, question number 10.
Yeah, my name is Bob Russell. Back to the sidewalk bike lane combination that was built. Did anybody look at the statistics of how much pedestrian and bike traffic there is here in this phase 1 area? And the second part is, I note north of Los Altos, you put the K rail in to protect the bike lane. Yet when you look, you've got a 10 or 12 foot high sound wall, and there's ground and property between the property line, the fencing and the housing. Could the bike and pedestrian lanes not have been dropped down into that space between the sound wall and the housing fencing? It'd be a lot safer. You have a collision, parts are gonna fly, somebody's on the other side of that K rail. Seems to me it'd be safer for the pedestrians and the bikers to be down below that 10-foot wall down, but maybe it's an easement thing, I don't know.
It could be, and then also, I guess, the grading down there to get them on there, and it could go
Okay.
into needing right away for that. As far as the ped counts, to answer that question, I wasn't involved in that early on in the process. But I know that the bike community is very vocal, and so.
I don't know, I've lived here for 6 years, I've probably seen 12 bikes huffing up that hill.
And it's crazy that you don't see that many bikes, but they're so vocal. Yeah, they're pretty adamant and.
Well.
So just to add to that, even during the NEPA process for the entire Pyramid Highway Connection project, multimodal improvements was already a part of the scope, which includes shared use path, bike lanes, and sidewalks. So that is the reason why we have those in phase 1, because it's based from the environmental impact statement. It was already decided before on.
Do we have a question 1? Back to number 1.
Yeah, Nick Cloud, wasn't phase 1 originally designed to include 3 lanes?
Yeah.
Through the entire length of the project? A 3rd lane north of Los Altos?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I did not get the first.
So I'm wondering, I thought the project was gonna be 3 lanes through the entire length of the job, including north of Los Altos.
No, so based from the environmental impact statement through the NEPA study and NEPA process, this alternative really was designed only to have the 3 lanes widening from Queenway to Los Altos Parkway. And between Los Altos Parkway and just south of the Pyramid, Sparks Boulevard, Highland Ranch intersection, that is designed to be only 2 lanes because based from the bigger picture, which is, which includes the other phases of the project, if you could see that there will be a connector that will come up from there. And supposed to be, sorry, I keep going back here. The connector was supposed to be as planned, is picking up traffic just south of Sparks Boulevard intersection and also from Disc Drive. So that is why, based from the traffic numbers that was in the NEPA study, that's why they have this alternative.
You can't even guarantee that's gonna get built, the way it appears there.
That is more question to the RTC.
They're coming in on them. Okay, so do we have a question number 2? No.
We do have one question online.
And one question online.
I'm going to ask Steve to unmute himself.
Thanks, Shannon.
Yes, a question, overall concept, why are we putting more traffic on 395 in the future where it can, even with the new construction there, will not be able to handle the current traffic load? And yet the traffic, most of it wants to go to USA Parkway. And this connector is diverting traffic away from that route.
That is a really great question. Sorry. So 395 right now is, we also have a separate project that is widening the 395. In fact, we're currently in design for phase 2. As you see, phase 1 is already underway for construction. And phase 2, we are supposed to obligate the project this year and start construction next year. And all of these improvements are also tied into the other bigger project, which is the pyramid, and to, handle all that traffic hand in hand when everything is built. And also, when you mentioned I-80, we're also about to start the I-80 widening project.
So the idea is to drive from Pyramid Highway, use the 395 connector, go down to 80, go to 80 over to USA Parkway. That's the route that the designers are anticipating.
Okay, you wanna?
And Lucy, this is Meg Raganese, Public Information Officer, and thank you for the question. So just for a little bit of background that I think will help, we, years ago, more than a decade ago, conducted what we called the Reno Sparks Traffic Study. That actually looked at development and proposed traffic numbers through 2040. And since that study, we've been identifying all of the priorities for our highway infrastructure. So that's why you're seeing kind of these pieces put together, but just know that that is all prioritized based on those proposed developments and traffic volumes through 2040. And also, as Nanette has been mentioning, a lot of this has been reviewed through the environmental process taking place over the last decade and a half through RTC Washoe, and that was carefully evaluated through that process. I hope that helps answer your question.
I was on the steering committee for the 2040 plan and steering committee for the 395 Pyramid Connector back in the early 2000s. The USA Parkway wasn't even a thought at that time. Things have changed dramatically since then. And I think the planning has not kept up to speed with the current needs of the traffic flow.
Yes, thank you. Rest assured, we address them as quickly as we can in our ever-growing community. Thank you for that question, Steve.
Okay, with that, if there's no other questions, I'd like to thank NDOT for coming and keeping us updated. They're so gracious with their time to do this after work hours. So I really appreciate them coming and answering our questions.
We have.
Yes. Oh, there is a second presentation.
Lights that I have requested.
Great. Okay.
Because I think.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Thank you.
Sama Hemadi for the records. I'm here to talk a little about how we warrant signals on our freeways and our arterials as you have. Thank you. So there is a process that we in NDOT, we follow, the cities and the counties also follow, and it's not only peculiar to Nevada, it is for the whole of the United States. All the states, we all follow the national or the federally mandated guidelines for installing signals. We have a very huge book, which we call the Manual for Uniform Traffic Control Devices. That book helps all the states and counties to know the procedure that we would warrant when and where to install a signal. We go through a process. If any citizen complains that there is an intersection that they have an issue with, making a left turn, getting out or getting in, we take it very seriously. We will send our crew over there to collect traffic data, and we start the process. If an elected official sends the information, we will do the same thing. Sometimes we identify locations that need us to study and decide whether we need to install a signal, a roundabout, two-way stop control, all-way stop control. We still have to look at it and critically choose the best control for that particular intersection. The reason why, I've had issues, people saying, why don't we have 3 lanes all the way to Pyramid? That would be great, but it comes with a lot of problems. One, if you build a road with that much capacity and it's not useful, it is going to create trouble. One, people are going to be overspeeding. So we are going to have increased crashes. Single vehicle crashes are the most deadly. Head-on collisions are also deadly, but single vehicle running off the road usually result in fatalities because they are usually speeding 120 miles per hour. We've recorded some of those on our Nevada roads. And so we are very careful in expanding. We have to look at the traffic and ask ourselves, how much of roadway is adequate? The biggest question is we don't have funds. We don't have unlimited funds. So we have to kind of balance the capacity with the need and increase accordingly. As developments go further away from the city center, we try to match up with the need as we go further. If traffic hasn't increased to a certain degree, we do not install certain devices because if we install them before the need, they result in other issues. You are going to experience more delays on the road and it will still come back to us. So we have to make sure that before we install a signal, one, the warrant is met or there is a need for it. If we determine that there is a need for it, we ask ourselves, is that the best control for that location? It is not always a signal light. Sometimes the roundabout is the best. Sometimes an always stop control is the best. Nevada hasn't gone into RCAT. It's a system of controlling intersections where we move the drivers a little bit further, they make a U-turn and come. We have JCAT, so we have other ways of controlling the traffic. We haven't explored all the options yet, but we do whenever it is needed. So you have to bear with us. We always take your comments, your complaints, everything very seriously. We do not say, oh, those people, they don't need it. We are part of the community. Trust you, my friends are always on me. Every little thing they see on the signal, they will call me. So
Can we have your phone number?
there is a system, like we work with both the RTC, the city of Sparks, the city of Reno. When there's a new development, they send in an application and say, we want access to our development. And in that application, they include what we call a traffic study report. And they have to tell us how their development is going to impact our roadway. If it's a commercial center, every development has to submit that traffic impact. And we decide, do we want to give them one access or 2 accesses? Do we say that, no, you cannot have a separate access. You can share your access with another development. How do we do this? We follow a nationally or a federally mandated standard that we have adopted one for Nevada specific. Those standards help us to determine the spacing between the access because every developer, if we give them the opportunity, they'll have 10 accesses because they think that their development is the most important, but it is going to impact the community. So we serve as the gateman to say, okay, wait, your access has to conform to the roadway type. For pyramid, we have to control the access because of the volume of traffic on the road. So the volume of traffic, the road facility type, the speed, we always have to take all those things into consideration before we space the accesses. If there's a signal on one corner of the roadway, you cannot come in at say 50 feet. People come in and they want, oh, I want to put my access over here. And we have to tell them, no, there is a certain minimum distance you have to be before we grant you an access. And so those are the ways we manage all those. Unfortunately for us, we do not receive the impact fees. The cities and the county gets the impact fees. We have to just build the road for them. Unfortunately, we don't get the impact fee. So sometimes you have to bear with us, but your comments still come to us. And we as a state organization, we have to make sure that what is best for the states is what is done. So RTC takes the lead on most of the, let's talk about, Northern Nevada. So the Washoe RTC, they are responsible for all the long range planning. So they have a model, and that model incorporates all the land use types, the economic, businesses and everything based on the parcel of lands. And we use that to kind of estimate how much traffic is going to come on the roads. So when we say the projection from 2015 to 2035, we are expecting Sparks area to have 43%. It is based off on that model. And that model is done painstakingly. We take into consideration factors like the economic growth in the area, the socioeconomic factors, the land use pattern, and the future plans and everything. We incorporate all that in, and that helps us to know traffic is going to move from here to here or from here to here. And that is how we build. So we project 10 years, 20 years into the future, and we use that to guide us in our developmental plans. So when RTC develop the projects, they think ahead and say, if we are going to have 5,000 people reside in this community, we have to find a way of increasing the road capacity or provide more additional roads. And they program those things into what we call the RT, Regional Transportation Improvement Project. So we run all those things into that. And those things help us to know maybe in 2035, we are going to have X number of roads or improvements, and they start looking for funding. So sometimes we have to start designing, and then we are looking for funding so that we can meet that target in the future years. So it is it's a process. It is not every state is competing for the same federal dollars. So we get some when we need it. Sometimes we don't get it immediately. It might take 2 or 3 years before we get it. So there's always a process for the design, the plan, the redesign, and all that. So. With us as the State Department, the number one thing for us is safety. If we can get people to go home, go to their workplaces, go to their places of recreation, go to church, go to the park, everywhere, and come back home safely, we finished our duty. When we think about safety as number one, the second thing is efficient transportation of people from one place to the other. So we put safety as number one. If we rush you to the place but you don't get back home, we failed. So if we can take you safely by making you spend 5 extra minutes but you get home, we are happy. Some people don't like the idea, but safety and operations have to work hand in hand. Otherwise, we will build 10 lanes of road and say, okay, everybody just go any way you want. If you get home or not, we don't care, but we do care. So we have to prioritize safety above all. Safety first, then we come to operations. Make sure that the two of them work hand in hand. In promoting safety, we might have to slow you down a bit. We might have to inconvenience you by having you go through a longer place to make a U-turn or make a left turn or go through another road to get to where you are going. It is all that balance of a scale for us, unfortunately. How do we determine signals? It is very important. One, if the traffic volume hasn't gotten to a certain level, we cannot meet that warrant. The warrant takes, there's 8 warrants in all. I'm not going to bore you with all the technical details, but it takes into consideration the number of vehicles making a left turn, the number of vehicles on the through movement, the number of vehicles on the crossroad. So we consider all that, the number of crashes we are experiencing. Is there a school nearby? All those things are factored in before we decide if a signal is warranted. If it meets the signal, we in NDOT have another step where we do what we call the intersection control evaluation. Why do we do that? Maybe it's met a signal, and most people for several years before the 1990s and then 2000s, everybody only knew of signals in the United States. Even though when we travel abroad, we see traffic circles or roundabouts, they were not very popular. Then we figured out that, wait, we are cheating ourselves. Roundabouts were very, very useful. After studies in Australia, in Canada, in Europe, the United States decided that, okay, we are adopting it. And interestingly, Nevada was the first state to introduce a roundabout in Las Vegas. So we still won, we are number 1. After that, we've had several roundabouts and they are very effective. So when we meet a signal warrant and we say, okay, we can put a signal over here, we try to ask ourselves, can a roundabout do that? The reason for a roundabout, one of the best reasons for introducing a roundabout, it slows down everybody. And it is very, very safe. Even when we have crashes at roundabouts, most of the crashes are just property damage. Why? Everybody slows down to go around that circle. And so as a state, we try to make sure that if a roundabout can work equally or comparable to a signal for some locations and is safer near a school and all those things, we introduce a roundabout rather. But we do a study and we determine based on the benefits and the cost to decide which is the best control. Sometimes an always stop control is fine. If you have been on the Highway 88 towards around Mendon, we put in a small roundabout. Before we did that, the community were not very happy, but as soon as we did it, everybody was praising us because it is so effective. They go safely. There is a community center, a swimming pool, and all that over there. And everybody is in love with it. Why? Because it's provided safety. Everybody slows down to go around it. So there are those things we consider. So we may not always put in a signal for you, but trust you me, when you tell us that you're having trouble at any location, we don't take it for granted. We come in there and we do study it. Sometimes we work with the city, Sparks and ask, have you guys also noticed, have you received any complaints? To say yes, and then we take it on. If it's our roadway, we will definitely take a look at it. If it is their roadway, we let them know that, hey, there's complaints about this location, and we take a look at it because at the end of the day, we are sister agencies that want the best for our community. So we always work together hand in hand. So when we introduce a signal, you might think that a signal is always great, but you'll have to stop for the people, the cross street to also pass. So why don't we introduce it everywhere? Because before we introduce it, we have to make sure that It is at the correct location, it is serving the best purpose, and we are deriving the maximum benefit in terms of safety and operations from that. If we introduce at the wrong place, then we are going to hear from you. If we don't do our timings right, we are going to hear from you. And we do hear from you every time. And we want to encourage the community, if you have any issue, if there's something wrong with the signal, sometimes we may not notice. We always encourage you to let our the front desk know, and they would send the information to the right people, and then we'll take a look at it. So the process is very, very important to us. We want to make sure that you get home safe with a minimum delay. But best of all, we want to make sure that everybody in the community is happy and feeling safe on our roadway. Thank you. I hope I managed to make you a little happy.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm gonna ask if there's any questions.
It's your telephone
Can we pass these on?
No, this number goes to our
I'm not sure
customer
if we
service,
already,
and
but-
if the question is for me, they'll trust me, they'll get it to me.
There's also business card up front with that number for everyone.
Oh,
available
great,
for you to-
great. So are there, should we pass out question cards? We got a question here. Just one question? Okay, go ahead and state your name.
I'm Kelly. So when you guys took out those warning ones that the light was gonna change, I heard that you went off to study out of another state. Is that true? And if so, I also heard that the board meeting, I have met no one that likes what you did. And you already heard it earlier. As a business owner, I drive a truck and a trailer. It was so nice to know, hey, I have to stop. Now, every time I come up there, is it gonna get me? Am I gonna have to stop my 16,000-pound rig so I don't hit somebody? So my question is, how did you guys come to that decision? Because in my opinion, and everybody I've met, that was a bad decision.
Thank you for the great question. I was the project manager for that project, so I can probably talk a little about it. We did a statewide study based off on national standards. So Nevada was unfortunately non-compliant. So we had to do a state study. Those advanced warning systems, they are meant for specific locations. If you cannot see the signal ahead of you, if like when you're coming up, yes, if you are in a curve and you need that warning, we provide it. If places where there is like heavy snow, where there's periods of the time they cannot see anything, we do install those. So when we constructed a pyramid highway and the signals were growing, we should have been taking them out. So that was our mistake. And moving them forward, like we have done now for the last signal on pyramid. So they are supposed to warn people that you are getting into a signal zone and you are supposed to get ready. We needed people to pay attention to the signal and not to the advanced warning. We had safety issues with the advanced warning. Maybe not you, but most of the people who knew the timing, as soon as they saw it begin to flash, that is when they stepped on it to 90 and they were going through, and that was posing a lot of risk. So we did a study, we had our LiDAR cameras over there, and they showed that we had a lot of near misses. It was only a matter of time for us to get into trouble. But I can make you very happy with my other statement. After we took them out, we did a 1-year study. We are in the process of doing another 3-year study. 1-year study for some of the locations. And we are very happy to report that people are driving better now, because now people pay attention when they are getting to the signal.
That helps. I mean, like, imagine there were some things that I'm not seeing.
Yes.
And for me, it was like perfect. And
so
like,
it's been very good for us. We recorded no crashes. People now pay attention to the signal. They know, okay, it's not, let me see and make sure that it's a yellow and that's stopping. Or like when they saw it flash, they knew that it was going to turn and they went for it.
I heard that, I read that, what you said, but I was like, I never saw that. I'm like,
Saw it either.
Our,
Where'd that come from?
we put out our LiDAR cameras and we had a lot of near misses. We knew we were going to be in trouble one day.
All right, yeah, are there any other questions for him? Yes. Steve online has a question. Steve online has a question. Oh, wait, what, are we on number 2? Oh, number 2 and then online. Okay, question 2. No, question 3 and then online. Oh, okay, all right, thank you.
So I'm all about moving traffic on Pyramid Way and not stopping, right? So if we're increasing our population by 43%, how is Pyramid Way even gonna work without limited access on and off ramps? And why haven't we built like that new light out there by the apartments? Stoneway or whatever that street is called. Why wasn't that a limited access where you have on and off ramps? I mean, why aren't we building limited access intersections?
So we do have those as and when, so I want to assure you that every signal, every lane assignments you see, they are based off on studies. So I think I heard somebody say, why don't we have a 2 left-hand lane at a particular location? Before we put in 2 left-hand lanes, we have to do a study and make sure that it has a certain number of vehicles making that left-hand. Otherwise, we are going to reduce the capacity based off on those going through. Remember, nobody likes to stay at a signal too long. So based off on the cycle, we have to make sure that the cycle is the most efficient time. Say, if we put in a 90-second cycle length, at every 90 seconds, you should be served. You should have the opportunity to go. So we try to make sure we optimize the timing so we don't have to grant such a long time, say 5 minutes. Nobody wants to stand at the signal, there's the red light for 5 minutes. People will be impatient. So we optimize those times based off on the traffic, the demand. So if there's X number of demands coming from here, Y number of demand, we have to apportion the time so that everybody has a fair share of the green.
But a limited access, there is no light.
We can limit the access, but there's only a certain amount of limits we can do. We cannot preclude anybody from getting, we have to give you an opportunity to get onto the road through another point. If there is no way, then we have to you have to share with somebody, or we have to give you an access. Some of the accesses are grandfathered. They are in there, and once they have the access, taking it out, it's a battle. If they are grandfathered, some of the old assets that they've had for years, unless we are doing a major, and then we can reconstruct and redirect them, but they have to have an access. So unless we can find another means of providing them access, they still have to have their access that they've had for a long time.
You lost me on that one.
Question 3.
Hi, as she said,
Oh, and state your name for the record.
Rad Yang. As she said, you pattern everything in other states. I live in 4 states. Every freeway has a secondary access of a small road. Pyramid doesn't have one.
So Pyramid is not a freeway.
It's a highway, right?
Yes.
Every highway
arterial.
has this too in other states.
It's an arterial, so that is why we have signals on it.
Yeah, but also in other states, a highway has also an accessory road.
So some of our roads would have what we call the collector distributor to the side. Not all of them. Pyramid, I believe we have, based on our right of way and the capacity that we currently have, I don't think we've gotten to the point where we need to have the idea. If you are in Texas, where they have a bigger demand, yes, we'll need to get there. Once we haven't gotten there, we.
The only reason I'm asked that, because before the developing housing develop, they need to place at least something in plan, that, okay, this one be an access road. Because once the develop is done, how can you place another road if there's housing in there? You can't do anything because there's already housing. You should be ahead of time placing one.
We do have a right of way. If we need to buy and extend and expand, we do whenever it's needed, but the cost.
So it would be eminent domain, is that what you meant?
Yes.
Okay, we got another question online.
I have three different comments or questions. I want to reiterate what the gentleman just was speaking about. North of La Posada, as those communities are developed, they each have their own access onto Pyramid Highway. A collector would be a very wise approach to collect the neighborhood traffic to one main access point onto Pyramid, just what the gentleman was saying, a frontage road or another road. The other thing is RTC looking at connecting the valleys, if you will, Cold Springs, Lemon, Golden, Antelope, Spanish Springs, all to 80 north of some region north of the developments now? Is that part of the, I don't know, 2060 plan? Is there something like that? And the third question or comment is, with the traffic, the latest road, Audi Boulevard, I drive that 3 to 4 times a day in the morning, or a week in the mornings, and the traffic lights are not sequenced whatsoever. You cannot make more than one light at a time. You basically stop at every light, going from east to west on Audi Boulevard with very little traffic on there. So if you could have someone take a look at that, that'd be appreciated. I'd like to hear comments on if there's any future planning to connect the valleys, if you will, the Cold Springs, Golden Valley, Lemon, Antelope, and Spanish Springs to 80 further out. For example, out in Warm Springs or someplace like that.
Hello, Steve, this is Meg Raganese and That Public Information. And most recently, you might be aware of this, that the city of Sparks, in conjunction with the RTC Washoe, was looking at a potential connection from the Pyramid Highway area to the USA Parkway area. And I'm assuming when you meant I-80, you meant east of Sparks. So there was that look at it. It did not follow through or pass through this legislative session. But that is still something that I know personally, even though I'm not directly involved, that has been discussed at a regional level. And I would definitely recommend reaching out to the RTC for most recent updates on that. And I know, as the CAB chair said, they'll be here in November as well. Hopefully that helps with that question.
Well, kind of a comment on that. What I'm concerned about is we're moving forward with the Pyramid 395 connector. So that will, I wouldn't say force, but it'll allow the North Valley's traffic come 395, come over to Pyramid Highway, come up Pyramid Highway to La Posada, and the La Posada over to 80. Now, I know La Posada, what they're planning is a 2-lane road going from basically Pyramid Highway over to 80. I don't think that is going to be able to handle the amount of traffic that the roads will see at that time. Just kind of thinking about the future.
Thank you, Steve. We do have RTC coming in November, so I encourage you to attend that meeting or contact them directly. It is 8 o'clock, and we usually try to keep these to 7:30, but this is such an important issue for all of us. So I just decided to let it go longer. But thank you very much for your presentation. It was well presented, and thank you again for NDOT for your presentation. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're going to continue on with the agenda, and it will move pretty fast. So the report on request, when you put when you do a public comment, and I told you it's awkward for our board members because we can't respond to you because it's not an agenda item. What we do, and it was the board members that came up with this idea, was to give you feedback at the next meeting. And so at our last CAB meeting, we didn't have any public comment. So I don't have any responses to give to you. But the next agenda, there will be responses to these 3 public comments. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the neighborhood development, and that's Candy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Candy Ramos. I work for Washoe County, and I wanted to share with you how you can go online and easily learn about upcoming neighborhood developer meetings and sign up for notifications to receive those, as well as upcoming board and commission openings that you may be interested in applying for. So I just like to show you from the homepage of washoecounty.gov so that you can easily go on here at any time and know how to find it for yourself. So if you go to washoecounty.gov and you go over to your government and you click get involved, and you'll see here information about our Board of County Commissioners, and here are ways to get involved. So here are upcoming citizen advisory boards. So ones like these, other board and committees, and volunteer opportunities. So for that, you can see the different openings for existing boards and commission openings. So right now there are a number of them. This is a volunteer pilot program, Nevada Cares Campus, Medical Reserve Corps. So all you would do if you were interested in applying or becoming involved with any of these, you can click on it here and you learn a little bit about it. It tells you about the time commitment and how to apply. So these are the ones that are open right now, but these are constantly changing. So I know that there is a pipeline of several more board and commission openings coming available. So please consider visiting this webpage so that you can learn about what's coming up and potentially get involved. Also on the page, this was the information here. If you come over to our neighborhood meeting hub, you will see any of the upcoming neighborhood meetings. So it takes just a minute to load up. It has both a map version as well as a project list by area. There are no upcoming, oh, there is an upcoming event actually, I'm sorry. At the South Valleys Library and in Incline Village. These are the 2 that are coming up. So there are none that are upcoming in the Spanish Springs area. But this, you can kind of always zoom in here and get an idea of what's coming up, but there's nothing coming up here in the near future. Should you wish to sign up to receive notifications, if you go to washoecounty.gov's homepage and scroll down, you will see that there is an opportunity to sign up for email updates that interest you. The one I just shared with you was the neighborhood developer meetings. So you click on that. Citizen involvement is one that always receives openings for board and commission openings. And then also District 4 is this area. So if you signed up for that, if there are any board or commission openings that are specific to this area, you would also receive emails to those. Does anyone have any questions?
Great. Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to the next agenda item, and that is the CAB member and commissioner announcements. I just wanted to let you know that we decided that we were going to have a CAB meeting every month except for August and December. So we don't have a CAB meeting next month, August, but in September, what's coming up is the Spanish Springs Master Plan and an important safety features. So we're going to have some presenters here on how to make your go bag demonstration. That's September 3rd. So that'll be interesting. It's like how to be responsible for emergencies should they happen out here in Spanish Springs.
To Baskin Robbins.
Baskin Robbins. To Baskin Robbins. All right, I love it. And then in November, we will have an update from RTC. So all those great questions that you had today can be answered at that meeting. Now with that, I just wanted to ask my CAB board members if they had anything that they wanted to ask or. No, they're just saying this meeting went too long. It went to 8 o'clock, but again, it was an important topic. And now I'd like to ask Commissioner Andriola if she could come up and speak to you.
Sure. In the spirit of being really brief, I hope everybody has a wonderful 4th of July. And it wasn't discussed, but I know that everyone knows that your fur babies are really important. And when you're hearing fireworks, which we hope we don't hear them because they're illegal, as you heard, that they're protected and kept inside. I want to thank RTC for being a great partner and doing all you do in the community. And as frustrating as we can be driving with signals, and I know I've made requests for signals in the area, we do appreciate your time, your expertise, and really showing that you care, and there is a process for feedback. So I hope everybody takes that into consideration. Congratulations for being the chair. Congratulations online to the vice chair. Congratulations to Jason for being now moved from an alternate to a board member. And we love the fact that people are engaged in this process, and I hope that you will look at those engagement opportunities to make a difference and to participate. The more that you know, the better you can, be able to answer to your neighbors. We always want to create an opportunity to have topics that are relevant to our community, right? And so there's a QR code. I'm going to keep on saying this a million times. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell new friends. You can make a friend with a QR code, whatever you want to do, so that we are providing you what you want to hear, right? The last thing I want to share is the July 22nd. It's a Budget 101. I've been saying it for a while. Certainly appreciate everyone's hard work on this. Washoe County has launched a Washoe County checkbook, essentially. So you can see all of the funding and all of the expenses, 100% transparent. But part of the equation was not only the launching of this, but the budget on how this all works, right? Putting in all of this information is helpful, but understanding how it's compiled is really important. So this Budget 101 is July 22nd. It's from 5:30 to 7. It's at the Washoe County Chambers. You do not have to register to be present. It is literally an opportunity, we hope, that you will have a deeper understanding of what you're looking at, how it's compiled. This will be done every year throughout the budget process. And so we're really proud to have full transparency with how your money is being prudently, spent. And we don't have unlimited funds. So as we move through the budget process, there'll be other opportunities to solicit your feedback, but that's another story. So congratulations for taking on another year of an opportunity, to you and Brad and to all of the board members for their contributions, and more importantly, for you being here. Thank you, NDOT, for being here. And RTC's got lots of questions, right? They should probably be prepared. They've got now to November. Not that we're waiting to November, but please have a very safe Independence Day, right? Have a wonderful 4th of July. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, I don't believe we have anyone for general public comment for agenda number 11. So with that, do I have a motion to end the meeting? Motion. Renita makes the motion to end the meeting. Do I have a second? Second. And those in favor? Aye. Aye, and aye.
Are we ordering ice cream?
That's right.
We get to put in ice cream.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's a very good. Yeah.
I definitely did too. It's okay, 'cause I knew with them.